No one really understands Asta and Yuno. If you dropped the show in the beginning, you'd think that Yuno is a Sasuke ripoff. If you kept going by the elf arc, their dynamic made you really hype, but I don't think you felt beyond that, right, for them. If you've stuck with it till now, you've seen Yuno think of Asta in his lowest moment as a source of strength, and for Asta, you've seen him even be envious of Yuno by the recent chapters. So, the further you go in the series, the easier you feel like it becomes to understand what Tabata is going for, but in my opinion, no one really gets these characters properly. Because when we first encounter a shonen rivalry, we typically expect certain patterns. Looking at iconic duos like Naruto and Sasuke, we see bitter animosity and a complex path to mutual respect, and with characters like Gon and Killua for Hunter x Hunter, we get instant best friends whose bond is unshakable. My Hero Academia gives us Deku and Bakugo's one-sided bullying relationship that slowly evolves into a mature relationship built on their shared struggles. Yuji and Megumi don't even have a prolonged enough relationship to build something to the levels of these aforementioned pairs, despite being well developed enough on their own, right? And Demon Slayer seems to have even abandoned this duo dynamic entirely. But Asta and Yuno, their relationship defies the aforementioned categories entirely. They're orphans raised as brothers, competitors with the same dream, yet neither enemies nor traditional friends if you think about all their interactions, right? They're not like really best friends or the way that Gon and Killua are. That's not what they're like at all. And there's no the level of animosity that you see with Bakugo and Sasuke. That's not there at all. Their dynamic exists in a fascinating middle ground that's rarely explored in shonen. What makes this relationship so compelling is that there's no dramatic betrayal, toxic rivalry, no moment where one abandons the other for power. Instead, we get something more nuanced. Two people who genuinely care for each other while simultaneously pushing each other to improve. So guys, let's get into what exactly makes Asta and Yuno the really great characters that they are, that most people don't understand the fantastic writing that has gone into it. There is so much depth to these characters that people just look past because of their surface level read of the series. So let's get right into it. The genius of this relationship lies in its duality. Yuno's cool, reserved exterior masks a deep respect and admiration for Asta, while Asta's boisterous challenges to Yuno hide vulnerability and, yes, moments of envy. This isn't the performative rivalry we're expecting from Black Clover. It is a complex relationship between two people who function as each other's North Star. We see this duality most clearly in their interactions at pivotal moments. When Yuno receives his grimoire, a symbol of extraordinary potential, he sees that Asta doesn't get his grimoire and he starts to reflect on that. And when Asta finally does get his own grimoire, Yuno doesn't diminish the achievement but acknowledges it as the beginning of their true rivalry. This mutual recognition forms the bedrock of their relationship. Neither seeks to diminish the other's accomplishments or path. Instead, they use each other as measuring sticks for their own growth. It's a relationship built on parallel ambition rather than intersecting conflict. What's particularly fascinating is how little screen time they actually share. Despite being positioned as the central rivalry of the series, Asta and Yuno spend most of their time apart, pursuing their goals in different squads. Yet, whenever they reunite, there's an immediate chemistry and an understanding that transcends their time apart. This speaks to the depth of their bond, one that doesn't require constant reinforcement to remain powerful, and this one does not even require them to be outwardly friendly. There's just a complete undertone of what their relationship is that isn't similar to the ones that we've seen in other shows. Their first reunion after joining their respective squads perfectly illustrates this dynamic. When they meet during the dungeon exploration mission, there's no awkward readjustment period or need to reestablish their connection. They just instantly fall back into their competitive rhythm while seamlessly coordinating against a shared threat. This balance of competition and cooperation defines their relationship in a way rarely seen in the genre. The most important part of this rivalry is that envy aspect that I was talking about earlier. In most shonen, envy either becomes a destructive force that drives characters apart, like Sasuke's jealousy of Naruto's growth or vice versa, or it's portrayed as entirely negative. Black Clover instead treats envy as a natural human emotion that can coexist with that genuine admiration. When Asta sees Yuno's meteoric rise, there are moments of genuine struggle, not with hating Yuno, but with processing his own feelings about their divergent paths. This emotional honesty makes their relationship feel authentic rather than idealized. A particularly revealing moment occurs during the Royal Knight tournament arc. After having fought with Longwrist to a technical tie, Asta is forced to drop out of the tournament and has to witness Yuno fight someone else during the final match. He even sees how incredibly powerful Yuno's gotten with his spirit die form, and this frustrates him to no end. He's incredibly annoyed at the fact that he isn't the one up there fighting Yuno despite all his efforts. Yuno even visits Asta at the end to see how he's doing, but he realizes that Asta is emotionally down. At this point, he understands that what he needs is a simple refocus on what is actually important, catching up to Yuno and surpassing him. These guys don't just want to win against each other and move on, they genuinely want each other to keep trying to reach the goal they're aiming for, so that they're always at the phase of trying to catch up to one another. The one thing that allows them to keep growing for both of them is that concept of trying to reach and one up each other at all points and falling short at the last moment so that they can try and grow even stronger. And similar to Asta, Yuno too experiences moments of envy, though they're very subtly portrayed. When Asta develops new techniques or overcomes seemingly impossible odds, Yuno's typical stoicism briefly cracks, revealing a flicker of concern that his rival might surge ahead. These moments humanize Yuno and add depth to his character beyond the typical cool genius archetype. During the Royal Knights tournament, we see glimpses of this Yuno as he observes Asta's growing mastery of his black form. The momentary widening of his eyes and immediate drive to showcase his own new abilities reveals that Yuno is just as motivated by their rivalry as Asta is. He simply expresses it differently. As we all know, the clover leaves represent each faith, hope, and love, and within the fourth leaf dwells good luck. Why am I bringing this up? One of the most fascinating elements that Tabata weaves into this relationship is the concept of luck, or more specifically, how Asta actually neither has good nor bad luck, while Yuno actually experiences both extremes. This is another concept video that I was trying to make earlier on, but I think this is a very important part to bring in right now. Yuno is quote-unquote chosen by his four-leaf clover grimoire, by the wind spirit, by, I would even say, fate itself as the chosen one. He's marked for greatness from the beginning. It's woven into the times of this world. But Tabata brilliantly subverts the chosen one trope by showing how good this good luck really is. It is also a burden. Yuno's exceptional gifts isolate him, create impossible expectations, and place him on a pedestal where meaningful connections become difficult. And when he falls very, very hard. His good luck manifests as bad luck socially and emotionally. The weight of being special creates a profound loneliness that Yuno rarely articulates, but we clearly see. His stoic exterior isn't just a personality trait, it's armor against the isolation his gifts have created. This isolation becomes especially apparent in the Golden Dawn, where Yuno's extraordinary talent sets him apart from his peers. While respected, he maintains a distance that few can bridge. This exception is perhaps Longwrist and Mimosa, who view Yuno as part of their team, but more specifically as personified by the character Alexdora Sandler. Oh my god, try saying that name 3 times. Alexdora Sandler, it is very clear how this bad luck also manifests socially. Not to even mention the crazy shit that he gets himself into in the Spade arc. But let's get back to my script. All of this really comes to a head in the Yuno versus Zenon fight during the manga. If you've read the manga, I think you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this loneliness and the weight of the world that he feels on his shoulders during these moments. Now, contrast this with Asta, who is magicless in a world where magic defines worth. From a traditional perspective, this is the worst luck imaginable, yet Tabata flips this narrative too. Asta's bad luck forces him to forge down his own path, build genuine connections, and develop a strength of character that no magical gift could provide. The Black Bulls, a squadron of misfits and outcasts, have become Asta's found family precisely because of their differences, not despite them. His cursed state creates opportunities for bonds that Yuno's blessed status usually prevents. This inversion of fortune adds rich complexity to their parallel journeys. What's particularly compelling is how these contrasting circumstances shape their worldviews. Yuno, despite his gifts, tries to maintain his humility through his memories of weakness and connection to Asta, while meanwhile, Asta's lack of magic gives him a unique perspective on a world that values magic power above all else. His anti-magic abilities don't just counter spells, they represent an ideological counterpoint to the entire magical hierarchy of the Clover Kingdom as a whole. Unlike most shonen protagonists who discover some kind of hidden power or secret lineage, Asta's journey, at least so far, remains grounded in extraordinary effort rather than extraordinary talent. His anti-magic isn't portrayed as destiny, but as something that he must continually work to master. He's literally called the Unchosen along with Liba. This creates a profound narrative tension with Yuno's seemingly effortless genius. When we later learn of Yuno's royal lineage, it could have undermined this dynamic. Instead, Tabata uses this revelation to deepen their contrasting paths. Yuno's heritage becomes another burden to shoulder rather than an easy explanation for his abilities. He must now reconcile his identity as both an orphan from Haji and a prince of Spade, adding layers to this character development. This arc brilliantly navigates this potential narrative pitfall. Rather than allowing Yuno's royal blood to become a simple power-up or explanation for his abilities, it creates new complication. His connection to the Spade Kingdom places him in a crisis of identity. Is he defined by his birth or by the life he's chosen? This question parallels Asta's ongoing struggle to define himself in a world that initially rejected him for lacking magic. Asta, meanwhile, remains rooted in his identity as a commoner without magical power. His strength comes from not discovering a hidden legacy, but from redefining what strength means in a world obsessed with magical lineage. This stark contrast gives a compelling narrative dialogue about the nature of power, privilege, and personal growth. The revelation of the devil within Asta's grimoire could have easily become a chosen one narrative, but Tabata carefully avoids this. Unlike Naruto's 9 Tails or Ichigo's hollow powers, Asta's connection to his devils isn't portrayed as destiny or inherent power, or even what you would expect it to be thematically, which is your inner demon. It's a tool that he must master through physical training and force of will, maintaining the core theme that his path is forged through effort rather than inheritance, even highlighting this fact when he becomes friends with Liba, where through his experiences and understanding of the world, he's able to come to this situation where he's able to gain more control over that power. Contrastingly, Yuno's power is coming to him at a lowest point when he doesn't understand himself, where Asta is the only thing that is available to him, and his other sense of self tells him that there is more to him. Where he doesn't understand himself, that is the moment where the story gives him a chance to get to know what he could be and what he really is through his lineage. What truly elevates Black Clover above many of its contemporaries to me personally is how it refuses to resolve this dynamic into simple categories. Tabata doesn't ultimately conclude that hard work beats talent or that talent is insurmountable. Instead, both characters embody different forms of strength that complement rather than invalidate each other. Their relationship isn't driven towards some predestined resolution where one proves superior or they become identical in approach. They remain distinctly themselves while recognizing the value in each other's path. This nuanced take feels refreshingly mature in a genre that often relies on a more simplistic rivalry resolution. As the series progresses, we see increasingly how different their approaches to power create a synergy rather than a competition. In joint battles, Asta's anti-magic and Yuno's wind magic create combinations that neither could achieve alone. Their contrasting personalities and abilities don't cancel each other out, but multiply their effectiveness. The fight against Licht demonstrates this perfectly. Asta's ability to negate magic creates openings that Yuno's precision and speed can exploit. Similarly, Yuno's ranged attacks cover for Asta's close combat focus. Their powers don't just coexist, they complement each other in ways that make them stronger together than apart. At the heart of their relationship is the childhood promise to compete for the title of the Wizard King. This shared goal serves as both motivation and connection, keeping them tethered across vastly different life paths and squads. What makes this promise unique is that neither character shows signs of abandoning or outgrowing it. Unlike many shonen series where initial goals shift as characters mature, Asta and Yuno maintain their commitment to this shared ambition. It becomes not just a competitive target, but a mutual oath to push each other forward toward excellence. This consistency speaks to the stability of their bond. Despite growing in different directions and developing distinct identities, they remain anchored to each other through the shared aspiration. It's a testament to how formative their early years at the church orphanage were in shaping their fundamental views. By refusing to follow established patterns of shonen rivalry, Black Clover creates something genuinely refreshing. Asta and Yuno demonstrate that competitive relationships need not be destructive or one-dimensional. Their dynamic shows how rivalry can coexist with mutual respect, how envy can fuel growth rather than resentment, and how different paths to power can be equally valid. In a genre often criticized for predictable character dynamics, Tabata offers a template for how rivals can challenge and support each other simultaneously. This nuanced portrayal elevates Black Clover beyond its apparent genre conventions, delivering a relationship that feels authentic in its complexity and inspiring in mutual support. As the series continues to unfold, the evolution of Asta and Yuno's relationship remains one of its most compelling aspects, a testament to how thoughtful character writing can transcend the limitations of genre expectations. So that's it from me, guys. How do you feel about Asta and Yuno's relationship? Do you feel like you really get what Tabata is going for? Do you feel like I could have added more? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And subscribe if you want more of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.